Great to be here.
Let's just do a recap of last Monday. Last Monday was simply spectacular. I mean, the fact that we were able to establish character of the program, defining happiness. What does happiness mean to you? And the fact that we got a lot of traffic, a lot of listeners called in to commend the program, commend our efforts, and commend the topic. And we hope that, we really were able to imbibe some sort of learning into the minds of our listeners.
Exactly.
Yes. So, and this evening we're going to be talking about a particular topic that is very, very vital, very salient, and very, very important to consider. And the topic this evening, let's talk about abuse, the categories, causes, effects, and the possible solutions. Now, abuse is a very, very, very dynamic topic in terms of the categories. Yes, so there's psychological abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's financial abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also the physical abuse. There's the cyber abuse.
Yes.
There's stalking. There's financial abuse. So it is a wide topic, and of course my guest this evening, 𝗪𝗀 𝗪𝗏, the mental resilience expert, will be here alongside with me. She's like my sidekick. Yeah, she's like my sidekick, and we're going to be dissecting the topic.
Can't be free.
Of course, it is the happiness of, so we're trying as much as possible to keep things very happy and very, 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 very bubbly here tonight. All right, so before we forge ahead, I would just like to inform you that we're currently streaming on Facebook and YouTube, respectively, at Mainland 98.3 FM is the respective handles for our Facebook and YouTube pages. So please do well to like, follow, subscribe, and you can also drop your comments, get a juicy glimpse of what is going down this evening in the studios of 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of the guest. Once again, the topic for this evening's discussion is let's talk abuse, categories, causes, effects, and possible solutions. So first and foremost, let's establish character and establish the topic this evening. So over to you, 𝗪𝗀. What is abuse? Because people throw this lingo around, and it's very, very, how do I put it now? It has different meanings. So what is abuse to you? Let's hear from you, the expert.
Okay, so simply put, abuse is improper usage or treatment. That's all.
Okay.
I don't need to go, but if you think about it, improper usage or treatment of a thing or a person is just abuse. Okay. So when you use something improperly, it's abuse. So simply put, straight up.
Wow. All right, so there you have it. It's just improper usage of something. It could be physical.
Yes.
It could be spiritual.
Yes.
It could be spiritual. So from every angle is the improper usage of something.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So that is the established meaning of abuse here tonight or this evening on the Happiness Hub 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos. So very quickly, before we forge ahead or ask relevant questions on the proposed topic this evening. So 𝗪𝗀, could you please tell us the types of abuse or the categories of abuse?
Okay, so we have psychological, we have emotional, we have, and you've mentioned.
Okay, I've already mentioned that
earlier, right? Let me say this: when it comes to abuse, most times people don't even know the extent of the damage it causes, right?
Okay.
So I would like to start from my own personal experience.
Okay.
Most times people start telling me things like, oh, when you were being molested as a child, why did you speak up? I grew up in an abusive home. My dad was physically abusive to my mom. He used to flog my mom with cane, and at each provocation, just lash out on us. I think there were instances, and my siblings will actually back me up with this, that my mom will be lined up with us. We're 5, and my mom will have to stand with us, and my dad will now start flogging us one after the other, sometimes even telling us to lie down on the floor with my mom lying down. So growing up in that kind of a home, I didn't have a safe space. Now the home should be a safe space for every child.
Okay.
And if the home is not a safe, it's easier for abusers to groom your child. So when you get when you start being emotionally abusive to your child, you're making that home to be unsafe. And it's easier for an abuser to groom the child. So when someone out there just shows an iota of affection that they are not used to from home, they're like, okay, this is love. This is how love looks like.
Okay.
So that being said, and because we understand that when it comes to physical abuse, most times it's men that perpetrate that act because of aggression and everything. But lately we've been seeing where women
actually
are physically
physically abusive. Okay.
But most times women are more emotionally and psychologically abusive. Especially to their children.
Okay.
But if you now trace back, most times and most likely they were groomed in that kind of environment. So they see it as a norm. They see saying things like your head not correct. That is see, you can correct a child without destroying their self-esteem in the process.
Okay.
You can correct a person without being derogatory with your statement. Like you shouldn't go that far.
Okay.
You understand? It should be something that you should understand that you are destroying the self-esteem of this child. Words like I heard people call their children goats, and you wonder, like, as a therapist, when we talk about intrusive thoughts in the head, I tell my clients to go back to the first time they've ever heard that they felt, or they've ever heard a statement that made them feel worthless, and most times it starts from their primary caregiver. And so a parent should understand how important the things you say to your child is.
It goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
Wow.
How you treat your child when they make mistakes, what you say to them when they make mistakes. For me, I see parents teach us how, or we learn how to handle successes more than we learn how to handle failures.
Okay.
So when you make a mistake or you do something bad, the way they will handle it, or the way a parent will react, will determine how the child will handle success or failures
into
their own lives.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So for example, your child spills water on the table.
Okay.
The water has been spilled already. You can correct the child without, are you stupid? Do you have sense? Do you know?
Words,
don't you even think at all? Don't you reason? For water that poured on the table. Something happened in my house one day, and that was when I started rethinking how I reacted, and I realized how I grew up in an abusive home was actually spilling into my family. Regardless of the fact that I was a therapist, if I did not deal with this learned behavior and replace those behaviors, I will most likely repeat it because I've not been able to replace it with something positive. So my daughter, I like using that spill, but this happened that she spilled a whole bucket of water in the kitchen, and everywhere was wet,
flooded. Okay.
You know how? And I walked in, I was angry, I was just shouting, and ironically, less than 30 minutes after mopping up that water, I spilled another bucket of water.
Wow.
Do you know the thought that came to my head? So who is going to shout on you now? Then I
definitely realized, not your daughter.
I realized how much we take some things that we should actually just overlook seriously. And then when you overcorrect a child, you're killing the child's ability to be assertive.
Okay.
Because they start second guessing everything they do because
their moves exactly.
Please, if I
and
now
they become overcautious.
Wow. And you're wondering why your child that was so confident some years ago is now being timid.
Yes.
And you're like, your mate is, when you don't shout from afar, how you go talk where your mates they talk? You understand? And then you see another person's child and like, can't you talk like them? Go to their house, and will you be able to treat your child the way that person is treating their own child?
Not at all.
You understand?
Yes.
I know sometimes some parents tend to overdo it and tend to pamper and treat children in a way that they feel entitled. I'm not saying that. But to an extent, the child should have that first boost of confidence from you. The reason why a lot of people are looking for relationships, because there's a test for well-being, there's a test for flourishing. It's called 𝗵𝗪 test.
Okay.
𝗵𝗪.
𝗵𝗪.
Yes.
𝗵𝗪 test.
𝗵𝗪 test.
Is that like an acronym or an abbreviation?
It's an acronym. Yeah.
Okay.
P for positive emotions. E for engagement. R for relationship. M for mindfulness. And A for accomplishment. So in that 𝗵𝗪 test, that's how it was actually promoted by Martin Seligman.
Okay.
And he used it to gauge our well-being and our flourishing. So that's how you can gauge your flourishing. And in that test, like I said, positive emotions, engagement, how you engage with activities, how much you can get lost in activities that you love. Relationship is key.
Okay.
But most times we cannot gauge our well-being based on relationship because our relationship with our parents is already dead. Zero.
Wow.
So we now start depending on trying to look for relationship with the opposite sex that will make sense to actually fill up that void.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
And we know we talked about a bit of it last week when we were talking about people trying to look for happiness from relationships.
Yes.
If we have healthy relationships, like the foundation, you see some ladies have a healthy relationship with your parents so much that you're not begging them to get married. It's like, but I don't even know what I'm looking for, because it's like I can't even, like, you're so satisfied with the love you're having
from your parents. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in giving your child that much love that is now a standard for any relation that wants to come.
That's true.
Instead of treating your child so badly that it's easy for a narcissist to just, you've already groomed your child for narcissism.
Yes.
Like,
it becomes a magnet for narcissists. Yeah.
And then some girls will tell you, if a man does not beat me, does not love me, I'm like, yeah.
You can imagine. Because they grew up in a dysfunctional environment.
Exactly. Me, because of what I saw growing up, because of what I witnessed, because my dad was not just physically abusive, he was psychologically abusive to my mom. Imagine insulting my mom in front of his workers. He would call his workers and be insulting my mom in front of them.
My God.
To the extent that she could not even give them instructions because he had run her down. In our streets, they knew my mom as, my dad had spoken so badly of her because he was promiscuous. I say it without mincing words. He's late now. Somebody will say, don't talk bad about the dead. He's dead. And I love him, but he had his flaws. Okay. So he was promiscuous, and because he did not trust my mom, that's talking. So anytime my mom would greet a man, my dad would say, why did you greet him? Why did you say good morning? What do you have with him? And all those issues started coming up. And if you trace back to his own background, there is something coming. So if you don't deal with those unresolved traumas, if you don't deal with those issues, it spills into your life, and now spills into the lives of your children. So imagine my dad did not even know what he was doing would spill into my own life, or will affect me the way he affected me, and then now spilling into his own grandchildren. So what kind of legacy are you leaving? When we talk about legacy, most times we're thinking about money, we're thinking about inheritance, but sometimes your legacy could be your character. Yeah. Could be your behavior. What legacy are you leaving for your children? That's the question you should ask. So we're saying this now to women that are emotionally abusive, because your kids are watching you. They won't do what you say, they will do what you do.
Especially the daughters.
See, I've learned so much that as much as I want my children to be hardworking, if I am not showing it, I cannot tell them to do what I'm not doing. I am not let me use this as an example. I'm not really the homely type. That's the excuse I give. Let me say I'm lazy. Let's call it let's call it speed. Okay. So I'm lazy when it comes to house chores, right? Wow. Because I was second to last, so I had siblings that were doing a lot of all those stuff for me. So when it comes to house chores, I'm like, and I thought, then I will not be telling them to do it, then they will do it, and I realized that it doesn't work that way. No. So I have to pick myself up. No, you have to keep everywhere clean, because I saw that they were picking up on my cues. So the legacy I'm leaving for my kids goes beyond the money. So we're talking about building character. You want your child to be able to speak well of you in future. Yeah. So your character goes a long way to doing that. I think parents tend to downplay that part. All we are thinking about is leaving money. Let's work hard. Let them go to the best schools. Let them do well. If they are not psychologically balanced, they are most likely to become drug abusers and substance
make
poor
life decisions.
Yes, a lot of life that will not. Imagine a lot of Nigerians now are relocating with their kids abroad. And in their own mind, okay, I will never hit my child again. But they've already trained that child to see hitting a lady as nothing. Unconsciously, maybe the guy will not know one day, the male child will not know one day a girl provokes him, because he has seen the father do it over and over again. He just
feels it's normal. Whack. Yeah.
And then they arrest your child in Canada or UK, and you now be saying is village people. Which village people? No. So you understand?
You're the perpetrator of that.
Yeah, you started it. When people relocate, I'll be like, people don't know till they carry go this abroad, they carry go, because you might change in certain ways. Yeah, you might become different because you are an adult, but your children have learned those things as norm. How do they unlearn it? I read a news of a Nigerian that had their children taken away from them because their child was telling the school teacher about when they were in Nigeria and they were beating their children. So something has already happened. You understand? They are still like they've taken the kids from them, and they have to now go to court to prove then they are no longer beating the children with belts. Imagine. Wow. So something you've even forgotten. So those of you that want to leave the country, please change your ways now.
Exactly. So we need to learn and relearn and unlearn.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Exactly. All right. So this is the Happiness Hub on 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos. My name once again is Rio. And of course, we have the mental resilience experts in the name of 𝗪𝗀 𝗪𝗀. And this evening, the proposed topic of discussion is Let's Talk Abuse. Categories, causes, effects, and possible solutions. So what we have just established now are the underlying factors, which is the immediate environment that the child or the perpetrator grew up in that births their, how do I put it now, their future actions and how they impact on their own family or their society, the society at large. All right, so we'd just like to reiterate that we are currently streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. You can join the conversation by dropping your comments, your thoughts, or your questions via that medium, or you can simply call us on 0913 600 0410, 0913 600 0410. You can call that number, or you can drop a message to the other line 0913 600 0430, 0913 600 0430. All right, so let's say now, because this topic is actually very, very extensive, and we'll try as much as possible to do justice to it, because 30 minutes from now we'll need to go on a commercial break and pay some bills, and then we'll come back and continue from where we stopped. All right, so let's move on to some other related questions concerning this evening's topic. Now, how do we cope with abuse? Because, you know, it's easy for you to tell somebody to just, you know what, leave that environment.
Yeah.
But that person who is in that environment has grown attached.
Exactly.
So the hard work lies in detaching yourself. And it still boils down to what you said. Learning, relearning, and unlearning. Detaching yourself from that environment, that very unhealthy and dysfunctional environment, and moving to a better environment where you can thrive. Is synonymous with a plant. You put a plant in an arid region that is devoid of water, vegetation, and a couple of other things that will help that plant to thrive. And then you put that plant in a fertile place.
Exactly.
Feed it with water. What do you think happens? The plant grows. So how do we cope with abuse? Where do we start from?
Okay, so I would bring in how most people actually cope with abuse.
Okay.
Negatively. And then we'll talk about how to actually positively get out of it. One way is we tend to internalize issues. So when something happens, we immediately make it our fault.
Okay.
So already the first thing is, okay, what did I do? What did I say? What should I have done better? So it's my fault. I did it. I caused it. And sometimes the abusers goes to reinforce that thought by saying things like, you made me lose my temper. But I tell people, nobody can make you lose your temper. You lost your temper. So when I lose my temper, I tell my children, I lost my temper. You didn't make me lose my temper, because the power lies with me. It's my feelings. I decided not to be in control of my feelings at that point in time. So I lost my temper. No matter what a person does, it's still within your power to do what you have to do. Right?
All right?
Because in another situation, if that person is going to pay your bills, you will control your temper. Right? Let's be honest.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
Most of the men that are abusive, you go and see them working under women, and then the women will be insulting them. Sorry, ma. Okay, ma. Then they will go home and beat their wives. And then we'll say it's the wife that... I was in the bus some days ago.
And before you continue, why do you think they do that? Is it to establish or to gain, or how do I put it, to gain some
sense
to prove their manhood or their manliness?
It's not a good way to do it, but that's how they just... Okay, yes, at least I'm in charge of this person. I'm in control. So that's a coping
mechanism,
right? Dominate, and then, okay, that person is dominating me, but at least for them, it's a coping mechanism.
Of blame, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But instead of doing that and making it feel like it's my fault or I deserve it, So a part of us feels like, so if you actually believe it's your fault, your thoughts process that is, stuff like that, like it is their temper. It's their up in a home where their fathers could not control their temper. You see him shouting, and I'm like, in a way, it looks like my dad. So I'm like, so you want to be like my father? An issue with his temper. That means will be having one of these days. And this is something that I do with him, and the sisters also tend to. It's called mindful breathing. So you breathe in, so deal with it. We beat them up, so we are suppressing it. So what they know how to do is to suppress it. But you suppress it to an extent, and then you explode. That's when you hear something.
Explained rage. You don't know where it's coming from.
It's just that you see, I see red. Out. Sometimes count backwards 5 to 1, just 4. As I get in and he will say, Chioma, breathe. Out.
Wow.
Breathe. Count. So he sees it as a way to cope. It makes sense.
No, it's just like it's like as if you are using negative to get
for abused victims to get out. Finally accepting yourself. Who you are, your flaws. Self-love. Self-care.
Self-love.
I'm not saying when I see of others.
Wow.
Exactly. A lot of mothers feel physically or emotional things straight. Tend to avoid being alone is because our self-talk is so harsh. Just stupid. You're already talking down on yourself. Whatever someone says to you now sticks. So I'm light-skinned. And if someone walks up to me and tells me, "You're so dark. You're so dark. You're so dark like night," I won't believe it. I would just laugh. I'll feel like you're joking, right? Because it's not a fact to me. But if I've insulted myself over and over in my head, I'm ugly. It becomes a ugly. It will correspond to what I'm already.
Exactly. Person is just reinforcing that fact.
Exactly. And that's what psychological abuse does. Wow. And that's why most times we internalize, and that's why we say it's our fault.
Wow. Thank you so much, 𝗪𝗍. This has been, 2.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos. 3 minutes from now, we're going to commercial break. But until, of course, I have with me in the studio, 𝗪𝗍 FM. You can get a juicy glimpse. To also drop your comments there. Please share the video. Today's program is Let's Talk Abuse.
Interestingly, nobody around me really knew that I was going through it because I hid it really well. I actually looked the happiest then. I looked really happy. If you see my pictures, I was always smiling and happy. But when I go back and I'm by myself, that's when I really feel like it felt like I was in a dark space. That's how I would describe it.
The scars you share become lighthouses for other people who are headed to the same rocks you hit.
Largely because we're still learning how to see the early warning signs. And sometimes it may take a professional opinion to help us see what the issue is. But the thing to know is that feeling sad or worried for longer than usual may be a warning sign.
Let's talk about our mental health. Share life experiences on abuse recovery on the Happiness Hub every Monday at 8 p.m. on 98.3 Mainland FM with Rio and Season Real Steps Towards Recovery.
When the airwaves in your market become more and more crowded, it's time to break it open and really stand out. Broken Air is here.
On Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Lagos.
Are you seeking admission into a tertiary institution in Nigeria? Here is a big opportunity for you. The 2022-2023 admission into 𝗀𝗁 Polytechnic is now open. Available courses are Computer Science, Theatre and Media Arts, Mass Communication, Science Laboratory Technology, Electronics Engineering, Accounting, Banking Operations, Business Administration, Multimedia Technology. Qualified students should have scored 100 and above in the last JAMB exam. Facilities at 𝗀𝗁 Polytechnic include includes well-equipped studio and laboratories, modern classrooms, innovative workshop, recreation space, and fully functional hostels. Our lecturers and tutors combine both academic and industry experience. Full-time and part-time admission forms are available for the 2022-2023 academic session at the campus, 𝗃𝐶ity Polytechnic, Plot 100, Alhaji Onilewura Street, 𝗃𝗏𝗀𝗃, Lagos State. 𝗃𝐶ity Polytechnic is approved by JAMB, NBTE, and the Federal Ministry of Education. For more information, please call Moses 091 62 54 0610, Wale 091 62 92 7079, Praise 091 62 69 9996, Adelanwa 081 26 580784, or visit our website www.ecocity.edu.ng. 𝗃𝐶ity Polytechnic, building industry-ready professionals.
Yo, Nigeria, wake up! They say make hay while the sun shines. It is wise to link your NIN to your Airtel line ASAP. Big brother isn't watching your phone calls. The NIN police are. Don't be the housemate. He's blocked. Yes, but hold up. IN pops up. You won't be too late. Don't be here. And you get 346 hack.
NBC in public trust in the license 100
shine. It is don't be the boom. It's 6 that time for and your end is.
Let's talk about our mental health. Share life experiences on abuse recovery on the Happiness Hub every Monday at 8 p.m. on 98.3 Mainland FM with Rio and seasoned mental health therapists, behavioral psychologists, and licensed counselors. The Happiness Hub. Real talk, real solutions, real steps towards recovery.
Yes, it is still the Happiness Hub on 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos. My name once again is Rio, or you can call me 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me the mental resilience expert, 𝗪𝗪. And this evening, we're talking about a very, very, very dicey and very juicy topic, which is let's talk abuse, categories, causes, effects, and possible solutions. Of course, we've already established that some behaviors are actually underlying factors that are responsible for some of the behaviors that we carry into our latter years or our adulthood, and there are possible solutions to this. As has already established that you need to have what we call unconditional self-acceptance, self-love, self-care, mindful breathing, and then stop internalizing issues so that you can do the hard work and relearn, unlearn, and learn new behaviors. All right, so let's say while we wait for calls, but before we continue, just by way of reiterating, please note that we're currently streaming on Facebook and YouTube respectively at Mainland 98.3 FM. You can do well to like, follow, subscribe, and you can drop your comments. And of course, our expert here, 𝗪𝗪, will be here to answer all your questions. We'll read out your comments, and if you prefer to remain anonymous, because I know some people might not want to reveal their names or their identity, well, you can do as you please, but ensure that you do not assassinate anybody's character or insult or shame people. Please, we will not tolerate that as much as possible. We're just trying to get you to find happiness and get you to cope with abuse. All right, so and then one more thing, 0913-600-0410 is the number to call. 0913-600-0410 is the number to call if you have any questions whatsoever, or you can direct all messages WhatsApp format or regular text message format to 0913-600-0430. All right, so while we wait for calls, let me just go over to this question: emotional abuse. Now, like you said, women are more prone to emotional abuse. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, to be emotional abusers, because
okay, all right.
They play with one's emotions. I'm not saying all. I'm just saying most times, and it's so subtle.
Okay.
And for guys, they tend to fall into it so easily. without realizing that this is not love.
Wow.
I think it's just part of it. This is just part of it.
Okay.
And emotional abuse is also psychological abuse.
Yes.
So women most times, and then it's hard to prove because there are no scars.
Yes, so there are hidden maladies.
Yeah,
that
so someone
in our hearts.
Someone is just going through a lot and he's trying to tell you, I'm going through a lot. How do you explain that what she's telling you is hitting you? There's a way it's just hitting you and it's killing you inside, crushing you from the inside out, and you just don't know. And it's an attempt to frighten, control, and isolate. Sometimes it's a means of control. And I encountered a client some time ago where, as soon as he started telling me what he was going to, I just told him straight up, your spouse most likely had a father that was absent. So she's treating you that way as a bid to control you.
Okay.
Isolating him from his friends, telling him that nobody can come to the house,
Okay.
Those are the things that happen. As I'm saying it right now, a lot of you are saying, shaking your head, because these things are happening.
Yeah.
But you're not like you don't see that. Maybe it's an indication that she needs help, right? And then some guys do that too. We call it love bombing. They want to spend. We've read too many M&B.
I'm so sorry. Let's quickly. Can we just hold that thought and take this call?
Okay.
Yes. Good evening, the Happiness Hub. Good evening. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening. May we know your name, please, and where you're calling from?
My name is Deborah.
Deborah. Okay, where are you calling from, please?
I'm from Kaduna, but I stay in Lagos, Maryland.
Okay, Kaduna, but you stay in Lagos, Maryland. Okay, please go ahead. We're listening.
Is it?
Go ahead. We're listening.
I saw this number since yesterday, so I decided to call it today to find out who I'm speaking with.
Okay, this is Mainland 98.3 FM, and it's a radio station, and the program that is currently airing is the Happiness Hub. It's a mental health related program for mental well-being.
You're live on radio.
And you're live on radio.
No, sir. I don't know.
I think it's
okay. All right. Thank you very much. That might be a hoax caller. All right. So once again, it happens. Yeah, sometime. Okay. So 0913-600-04-104 telephone conversations, WhatsApp text messages. Direct them to 0913-600-0430. We're currently streaming on Facebook and YouTube respectively at Mainland 98.3 FM. You can join the conversation by dropping your comments, reactions, and conversations via those platforms. All right, so back to what you were saying now. So I'd just like to ask, as opposed to physical abuse that is more visual, and
it's hard because it's even easier for someone to just lie and say this thing happened when it didn't happen. So, but as therapists and psychologists, there are telltale signs for liars.
Okay.
But as much as we want to believe we can always tell a liar, psychopaths and people that are very, very intelligent and understand those telltale signs tend to know how to hide the signs.
Wow.
So they are actually signs: the way you move your hands, the way you place your hands, the way you move your body language. I know when you're lying or when you're saying the truth. But like psychologists,
thought once again, let's take this call. Good evening, Gladys. You're welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Gladys. You're welcome. How was your day?
Very well, thank you.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Gladys.
Thank you for your good work.
Thank you so much.
In fact, I need a pen and a paper for this your class. Very important. Honestly, I'm going to get a pen and a paper. Yes, there's so much to learn.
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. All right. So,
when you started this abuse, I was searching my mind. To find out the parts. Maybe there are parts where I also do abuse without knowing. My kids, they are still small, but sometimes I get when they do certain things. Okay, look at what happened during their holiday. They broke the television flat screen.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
They broke
can just
it.
imagine the financial implication.
When my husband went online to check 750,000.
You can imagine.
So I just told this period that one. Yes, I said, please don't for now so that they will understand what they have done.
Exactly.
So if you replace it immediately,
exactly.
they will not understand.
Exactly.
So this television was replaced 2 days ago. So throughout the holiday, they did not watch television.
Yeah.
I said that is, so they have learned from that.
Yeah.
So immediately before they came, Samantha that broke it to my girl. Hey, Daddy, I will not do it again. Thank you very much. Thank you, Daddy. I will not do it again. I said, better. Have you learned something? She said, yes. The other day, my boy, he just, he will be 3 in April. Opened the side drawer. You know what he did? Poured bottled water inside.
Oh. Wow.
Close it back. So with that anger, what I do is this. I just put him down, lifted up his feet, and flogged him under his.
And I am not angry. So that I don't flog beyond or beat beyond.
Exactly.
Because if it's not commensurate to what, no. So you need to also, the dicey thing about beating is how to calculate what the child. Okay, so for example, you want to flog now. The flogging you flog for the water, you flog for the television. Do you know how to calculate it?
For television, I didn't even touch at all.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't know that you learn from that.
No, but I'm just saying, I'm using it as an example. But most times, it depends on our mood, how stressed you are at that time. So I always advise to, when you are angry, don't so that the scolding can be more effective when it's not done in anger.
Okay.
Because even the child will not even. But I love the fact that you were even present in your mind to know, okay, I'm flogging the bottom of his feet. But some parents, you see, they will flog all over the body, and the head. So you're not losing your temper. I don't think you are.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other day, you just went to the fridge, took 2 bottles of water and poured on the bed. My goodness.
What is it
I did not flush him immediately. I just gave him a break. I said, come, do you know what you have done? You poured water on the bed. He said, Mommy, I'm sorry. I said, you know this is wrong. He said yes. I said, the other day you came from school, you told me you were taught honesty. He said, I said, meaning you are doing the opposite thing. He said, you know, he's too small, child. There are certain things he really doesn't understand. But gradually, I'm letting him know that what you are doing is wrong. You are the one that is teaching me honesty.
I love what you're doing. I love the conversations you're having. But you know, if it was our parents now.
No. They will not.
I can't imagine. Wait, I remember my brother broke. My dad didn't even live to collect it. In fact, that's what he does. After beating, he will not tell you when you start working. This is the first thing you buy.
Okay, now.
So if you were my dad, that television would have been the first thing you take for your son's salary. your daughter's salary.
Thank you so much.
No, but it shows the parents that have healed from what has happened and we're parenting in a new way. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that.
God bless you. Thank you so much. I love your work. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you too. All right.
Bye.
Bye for now. All right. I like the fact that she actually used the subtle punitive measure to handle that issue in a way that proved that she had an intent of instilling discipline in that child. Because as much as we might want to allow our anger consume us and exert some sort of punishment on that child, remember that child is a human being like you.
Exactly.
Make mistakes. And the child might grow up and still remember that punishment. And if it rubs off the child in a negative way, extremely, trust me, the child might take it to an extreme way.
No, so we teach our children how to respond to things. So the fact that she was able to control herself when something of that magnitude happened,
okay.
Whether she likes it or not, she has taught her child a very important lesson on how to control one's temper. Because then even the child knows, this one is you've really done something really, really, really bad. But yet mommy did not respond. Mommy didn't. Okay. But that means I can actually control my anger when I'm angry. But for parents that lose their temper every single time over every little thing, you're teaching your child that there is no control to their temper. And you're wondering why your child is coming home every day with I fought with this person, I beat this person, and they keep correct. Because you are teaching the child that your temper does not have control.
Exactly.
Or when you get angry, you have to do something.
Exactly.
Yet, have you not heard people say that when I'm angry, something has to happen? If not, my body will not be at rest.
My body will not come down.
It shows that that's how their parents had actually raised them. And funny enough, that's how my dad was. In fact, when he's angry, like I've watched my dad use his fists to punch into a glass shelf. You know those glass shelf we used to have in the
80s,
parlor,
exactly.
in the 80s, punched into the glass shelf.
My God.
Broke the shelf without cutting his
Cutting
knuckles.
his hand.
That thing got me scared of my father. Because he hit it with his fist. He was an amateur boxer, so he had real strength in his fist. He just punched it like this, and that was all. And in a way, there were other instances where he destroyed things. I remember one day my dad got angry with my mom and kicked over a pot of beans. I still remember because it was beans, and that was actually, then we were going through some rough times. That was actually the last food in the house. My mom had to scoop the top of the beans, but in his anger, he threw it away. You understand? What are you doing? And I still remember what he was angry about, because my mom was supposed to come to the site for the job they were doing, and she delayed. She wanted to cook food
for him
and us to eat, and he's the one that likes beans. I like beans too, Sha.
That's just on a lighter mood.
On a lighter mood. So that's one of my favorite food. So it's the norm. So if my dad is coming, you have to give way. You can't stand with him. So recently there was a day my daughter didn't give way for me, and I got angry. I was the temper was just coming from somewhere, and I told myself, what are you getting angry for? So she should see you and start cowering in fear, and like, you're the Lion of tribe of Judah. I'll be waiting to be that, So like I said, these things, they get you tend to leave it as a legacy for your children if you're not careful. Thank God I'm working on it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. There are days I make mistakes, and I realize that some of my past trauma is still echoing, and I take responsibility for it. And I have conversation with my child, and I'm like, I lost my temper, and this. Okay, let's see how we can do better. Like there's something we started this new year, God help us. I said no shouting.
No shouting, right?
And worry people, we like to shout.
We shout.
Even when we are joking.
Even when we are joking, or even having a conversation, shout must be part of it.
As in,
wow.
I'm like, God help us. We just started. This month has not even gone far, but we're breaking the laws. So, but we're working on it, because every year I set parenting goals. Last year there were some things I told my daughter I won't do. Like, I used to lose my temper a lot and hit them a lot, and I realized that it was not always commensurate to what they did. So I tell myself, so no, I should be able to measure. It's not like every little thing. A child will push a plastic cup and fall, you beat the child. It will break plate, you beat the child. So it doesn't show that there is consequence to actions, equal consequence to actions. You're not teaching. You are fair. You're not being fair. You will not hear a child say, "Mom, you are not fair." You understand? And you're wondering where all this English is coming from. Yes, you're not fair.
Please hold that thought. Let's take this call. Yeah, good evening. Happiness Hub, 98.3 Mainland FM. May we know you, please? Good evening.
Okay. Hello, good evening. Good evening. I just want to confirm. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. We seem to be having, I don't know what that confirmation was for. However, okay, 0913-600-0410. We have 6 more minutes before
if that
we
was
draw the curtains.
your phone number, I'll say maybe it's confirming your bank account.
Honestly.
But this is the happiness of we're always happy.
We're always happy. That's it. And we always try to make people to find happiness as well.
Exactly.
Yes, finding happiness. All right. So before we draw the curtains on this evening's edition, all right, so if you would like to ask more questions concerning the proposed topic for this evening, which is Let's Talk Abuse, categories, causes, effects, and possible solutions. We've already talked about everything: categories, causes, underlying factors, solutions, and what's the last one? Causes, categories, effects, the effects of abuse. So if the abuse has effects and how to deal with it exactly. So there's one more thing, like what you said. You established the fact that abuse is never the fault of the victim. So there are sometimes that victims subject themselves to self-blame, self-pity. They begin to say, "Oh, I was the one that caused it. If I hadn't done or said this, or if I had not conducted myself in this manner, it wouldn't have happened." So how do we? Okay. I don't know, maybe if that question has been answered. Well, let me just ask it. How do we unlearn that thinking? Does it still boil down to the self-acceptance, or?
No, it goes, that helps. But the truth is, you need to reframe the thoughts. So when a thought is when a thought is not what you want, reframe it and say it to yourself.
Okay.
So, for example, you're thinking, it's my fault. You now tell yourself, but it's not my fault.
Okay.
I didn't cause this. I didn't call it on myself.
Okay.
Why will I want this to happen to me? That's not my fault. So you reframe it and say it out to yourself. That's a way to deal with that negative thoughts.
Negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we thank you for joining us on this evening's edition of the Happiness Hub. Of course, the scars you share become lighthouses for the people who are headed towards the same rocks that you hit. That is our mantra here on the Happiness Hub. We try to make conversations here very experiential, conversational, and we share life experiences with hopes that you would find solutions and real steps, or take real steps, giant strides, or baby steps rather, towards recovery, because that is the essence of this program, taking steps towards recovery, because your mental health is very, very important.
Yeah, exactly.
It is very, very important, because if your mental health is at stake, it will affect every other aspect of your life. So we try as much as possible, especially our mental resilience expert, 𝗪𝗀 𝗪𝗏. She has been of immense help. Thank you so much, 𝗪𝗀.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We cannot thank you enough. And would I say thank you to everyone who tuned in this evening. Thank you to everyone. You can still watch the video on Facebook at Mainland 98.3 FM. But please do also share, comment, repost, and just share with your family and friends and with your nuclear and extended family, so that they can learn one or two things here on the Happiness Hub, and on YouTube as well at Mainland 98.3 FM. Do also subscribe and watch the video. So any closing remarks from you, 𝗪𝗀?
Okay, so I would want to give some signs to know when you're suffering from emotional abuse.
Okay.
That they are normally not seen as emotional abuse. One is when this person wants to spend one-on-one time with you,
okay,
and only you.
Wow.
And wants to isolate you. So it discourages you from meeting with your family, with your friends. Love doesn't go that way.
Okay.
Another one is buying expensive gifts too early. So you're meeting a person for the first time, or the second time, and he buys you a diamond ring, or gets you a car, or tells you he wants to tell.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's very expensive. It's love bombing.
Yeah.
Another is eager to combine finance too early. You're just dating for 1 week, 2 weeks. Next thing, say let's open joint accounts. Please. It's not helping. He said, "You help us to save. Let's do sue together." Because this is New Year. I'm warning those of you.
Honestly.
Okay. Another is unsolicited advice. Especially when it comes to your body, telling you, don't you think it would be better if you lose weight? And you guys are just like meeting for the first time. And in your mind, because you've been abused,
like body shaming.
That is body shaming, actually. Yeah. You understand? Unsolicited advice. When you didn't ask for it, you're not saying you're uncomfortable. Next is just telling you, don't you think your waistline will be better if you do a surgery and whatever?
Yeah. And
sometimes they check on you constantly.
Yeah.
Stalking on you on every media, and you're like, oh, this guy loves me so much. It's love bombing.
All right, we'll continue the conversation next week, hopefully on the Happiness Hub. Until then, keep listening to 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos. My name once again is 𝗪𝗀. Join me same time next Monday on the 22nd of January 2024. Have a fantastic night rest.
Interestingly, nobody around me really knew that I was going through it because I hid it really well. I actually looked at it.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM.
They're supposed they're sweet. They're supposed they're sweet. But if you make a messy, and they also want boss when God bless me. Them hate and envy, but I don't let my lesson. Now I meet the